Have you watched more than one of the meal prep videos and then realized you learned how to meal prep for a stranger on YouTube and not for yourself? We have. Also, if you're just a beginner, so are we. We love the idea of meal prep, but with poor planning, it can be pretty stressful. Alicia and I tried to shoot our first meal prep video a couple of weeks ago, and it was definitely a bit of a mess because we didn't plan very well. We also tried following some YouTubers, but they are making the right amount of food for them and not for us. This meal prep calculator will help customize our meal prep for each individual. I'm also thinking to make a multi-person or family-friendly version of this calculator. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like. I thought it would be helpful to prep for meal prep by having a general idea of how many proteins, carbs, and fats to consume. When I followed an amazing YouTube meal prep video, I was sure I was getting enough protein, but when I calculated my actual protein intake, it was pretty far off from the amount of protein I should be eating. This calculator will help ensure that we get the right amount of macros for our needs and can also prevent food waste, save money, and definitely save time. This is a very customizable spreadsheet that might seem a bit complicated at first, and it's not the prettiest of spreadsheets, but I promise it's so easy to use. If you're someone who wants to make sure you're eating the right amount of food and type of food, this will help you do that. The very high level and short version for how to use this document is simple. Only input data into the turquoise cells. For this to work, you should include the total number of days you're meal prepping for and the total calories you want to consume per day on average. The number does not have to be perfect, and a ballpark number will be fine for most of us. So to give you some perspective, Health Canada suggests that the average adult needs about 2,000 calories per day, but of course you can change this number based on your needs. The purple cells in table 2 will populate and calculate how many grams of proteins, carbs, and fats you should include in your meal prep. So for the average person who weighs around 165 pounds, consumes around 2,000 calories, and wishes to meal prep for 4 days, they can look in their fridge or go shopping for 600 grams of protein, 800 grams of carbs, and 267 grams of fat. Stick around if you want a more detailed version of all of the features of this calculator and how it works. There are 4 tables in this document. I just provided a very high-level overview for tables 1 and 2, but there's more to those tables, and I will get into more detail about table 1 in the detailed version of this video. I'll also introduce tables 3 and 4. Table 3 calculates the suggested amount of protein intake based on your weight, and table 4 allows you to plan the exact ingredients you'll use for your meal prep, and it'll subtract the calories and macros of each selected ingredient from your total calories and macros for the duration of your meal prep. I've already found this table beneficial when calculating the calories and macros for the Battle of the Best Oatmeal recipe video that Alicia and I just did, and it was really helpful. I'm sure that I'll continue making tweaks to this, but if you want a copy of this table, comment below and hopefully I'll have figured out an efficient way to share this calculator with you. This is one of my first videos, so I'm still trying to figure things out. So for those of you who want the detailed explanation, the next part is for you. Just as a quick refresh, Table 1 is a data input table. Data from Table 1 will generate data into Tables 2, 3, and 4. The only cells you should ever input data into are highlighted in turquoise. All of the other cells should remain untouched because they'll automatically generate values based on the data inputted into the turquoise cells. In Table 1, there will be default settings for each data field. At the moment, the total days for meal prep is set to 4, total calories set to 2,000, total weight is set as 165 pounds, desired protein is 30%, desired carbs is 40%, and desired fat is 30%, which is referred to as the macro split, by the way. I'm sure a lot of you know that, but these values can be changed, but just be sure that the orange cell to the right must always equal 100%. I'll come back to this a little later. Desired percent of flexible meals will be set as 0, and I'll come back to this later as well. If you want to change any of those fields, you can easily do that. Typically, people seem to meal prep for anywhere between 2 to 7 days. When changes are made to the turquoise cells, tables 2, 3, and 4 will also change. If you want a better idea of how many calories to consume, there are many online calculators that can help with that. If you don't know how much protein to consume and want some idea of that, you can enter your weight into Table 1, adjust the calories if necessary, and look at the values generated in Table 3. Table 3 takes into account the suggested daily intake of proteins by various sources, which range from 0.8 grams per pound to 1.2 grams per pound. Your inputted body weight will be divided by each of the suggested protein intakes between 0.8 and 1.2 grams per pound, and it will generate a percentage of protein for your your weight and caloric consumption. Generally, 0.8 to 1 gram per pound is a good amount of protein for most of us. In the event that you want to change the default macro split in Table 1 based on the findings in Table 3, or for some other reason, you can. Just make sure that the total of the macros highlighted in orange equals 100%. So if you increase protein to 35%, you will have to decrease carbs and or fats to make up for that 5% increase in protein. In Table 2, the most useful information is highlighted in purple and includes how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats you would need for the duration of your meal prep based on the total calories and macros you inputted in Table 1. When deciding to meal prep for 4 days, a 165-pound person planning to consume 2,000 calories with a 30-40-30 macro split can just look in their kitchen or go shopping for 600 grams of protein, 800 grams of carbs, and 267 grams of fat. How fun would that be? Letting people know, yep, just going to the grocery store for 800 grams of carbs, that's all, no big deal. Table 1 also has the added benefit of considering flexible meals. Whether you call those cheat meals or simply meals that will not be included in your meal prep, you can input what percentage your total calories you believe those flexible meals will be. So for example, if I type in 10%, the total calories and grams of macros in Table 2 will be reduced by 10%, which amounts to about 800 calories for this hypothetical person. Most people know if they go out or go to a party, they'll likely consume more than 800 calories. So in that situation, you might want to adjust the percentage of flexible meals to 15% or possibly even more, depending on how crazy you get, which means that based on this, you will be meal prepping less food, you won't overeat, and you won't waste food or money. Table 4 includes a variety of ingredients from my fridge and pantry. The turquoise column allows you to input the total serving size for each of these ingredients. In the event that the ingredient you want is not included on this list, which is very, very likely, you can scroll down and input the calories and macros for your ingredient based on the packaging or online search. The cells are turquoise just like the other data input cells. Let me know in the comments if you'd like help with reviewing nutrition facts tables. So for example, I meal prepped 800 grams of salmon a couple of weeks ago. I Googled nutrition information for the salmon I purchased, and it was based on a 100 gram serving size. So I typed in 100 grams into the serving size. When I typed in 800 grams of salmon into the turquoise cell, because that's how much salmon I purchased, it automatically generated the number of servings in the blue cell, which will then automatically generate the total calories, proteins, carbs, and fats for that ingredient in the blue cells to the right. That data will then be subtracted from the total calories, protein, carbs, and fats, and it will show us how many calories and macros we have accounted for so far. This value is highlighted in green. Highlighted in yellow, you will see a percentage difference between total calories and macros for the meal prep and ingredients you have chosen for your meal prep. This will allow you to increase or decrease serving sizes and or ingredients in order to get as close to 100% as possible. If any of the numbers highlighted in yellow are greater or less than 100%, you can make adjustments to the ingredients you selected below. To make this a bit easier, I highly recommend getting a cheap food scale. I always thought that food scales were a bit extreme, but they help give a better understanding of what we're eating, and who knows, maybe you'll be able to use more of a certain ingredient than you realized. That actually happened to me with butter. Once you do this a few times, it may not be necessary and may become intuitive, but until then, I know that this will continue to help me prep for my meals, and I hope that it'll help you prep for yours. Since I intermittently fast, I don't prep 3 or 6 containers of food for each day, since I consume more than half of my daily calories in one sitting. So some people might consume it all in one sitting or within 1 or 2 hours, and others might take an entire day. All you need to know is that this calculator will help you determine the specific amount of food that will last you for the number of meal prep days you inputted in Table 1. Whether you eat 5 meals a day, 1 meal a day, or a couple of meals every other day, it really doesn't matter. But this meal prep calculator will help ensure you consume what you should be consuming to achieve your goals. I'm so excited to use this calculator this weekend because I want to make sure that I get enough protein and spend less time wondering what I should buy or cook. One tip that I have for reducing the stress of choosing what to cook is by reducing the amount of choices that I have. So for me, I'm going to look in my pantry and fridge, and whatever is closest to the expiry date or best before date is what I will include in my meal prep for this weekend. I'll also go shopping to fill in the remaining grams of macros I have left based on the values in table 4. I did quite a bit of work on food labeling regulations, so if you have any questions on how to maneuver the nutrition facts table or any other food labeling, feel free to comment below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. I hope that you don't think this is too far out of reach for you. Up until recently, I typically ate mostly processed foods such as pizza, chocolate, ice cream, takeout from anywhere and everywhere, really. I hated most things about cooking: the planning, the prepping, the process, the mess. Oh my God, the mess is crazy, but there's ways to reduce it for sure, and the cleanup. The only thing I liked about it was the fact that I knew what I was consuming and generally felt healthier. With the COVID-19 lockdown, I found it really difficult to motivate myself to exercise with the same effort as I did in the gym. I could feel that my jeans were getting tighter, and that results in me adjusting my level of activity or food intake. Since I was suddenly at home more often, I started looking into recipes, and my entire mindset has shifted so much. I feel honestly like a different person, from thinking that food is the biggest waste of time to thinking that cooking is probably the best way I can take care of myself is a huge mind shift for me. I really hope this meal prep calculator helps you out. I hope you're not intimidated by it. I know that it helped me calculate a couple of things, and I am really looking forward to using it for my meal prep this weekend.